So I'm going to go over a few things with you today. I'm going to explain a little bit about who I am so you get familiar with the guy giving you candy. You're not taking it from a stranger. I'm going to go over some common marketing questions the average office asks when you start going down the path for marketing. I'm going to cover the top 16 things you need to be doing for your practice in order, as well as some common marketing mistakes. I call them mistakes on purpose, not mistakes. I do that just to be funny. Next, I'm going to cover some top marketing FAQs, a little bit about doctor marketing, and then towards the end, I'll cover some questions and case studies that we've gone through, okay? So that's me. I'm the owner of Doctor Marketing. I've been running it since 2014, but I've been in the dental space really since 2008, working in both advertising and telecom. Anybody here from Toronto or the GTA? I have an office in Mississauga, literally on Laird Drive, like right beside a Costco. Yeah, so we just moved in. We converted an industrial unit into an office space, 30-foot ceilings. So nice, very expensive, really awesome. But I actually used to work at Rogers, used to work at TELUS, used to work at Bell. In the States, that's like your AT&T, your T-Mobile, and your Verizon, okay? And I would do large-scale advertising for them. Then when I realized they weren't paying me enough money, I broke it on my own and opened Doctor Marketing and then never looked back. Anybody have any questions on my background? Perfect, let's move on. Common marketing questions. There are 5 questions that come up whenever we start going down the path for marketing. Everyone always wants to know, how much money do I spend? Next question they typically ask, where do I spend it? Should I advertise on Google, Facebook, print? Should I do dating app advertising? Probably not applicable for pediatric dentists, but it does work surprisingly pretty well for cosmetic dentists. Not getting any matches? Swipe right for a new smile. It's crazy how effective that is. Next, who should I promote my ads to? Geographically as well as demographically. Next, how do I rank higher on Google? And then my personal favorite, what happens if I do this and it doesn't work? So I am going to answer all these questions, but does anybody have any additional questions outside of this they would like to get answered? This is your one and only time to ask questions throughout the presentation. I'm only given about an hour, hour and 15. So if you have any questions beyond this, you're gonna have to write them down. We can talk about it after. One question in the back. Sorry? What do I think the right ROI is on advertising? It's a good question. I will answer it throughout, but just briefly, the right ROI really depends on the location of your office. Because let's just say you want to start doing Instagram advertising. How do you know Instagram's gonna work? Looking at the analytics of your marketing, you're gonna figure out what the top social media platform is in your area. Is it Instagram or is it YouTube? Or is it Reels on Facebook, right? Or is it TikTok? You don't know until you look at the analytics. So it's hard really to determine what the ROI is on the best strategy for you until you actually start digging down into it, okay? Any other questions right now? Perfect. So top 16 things you want to do for your office. Very first thing you want to take a look at are domains. Now there's 2 types of domains. You got business name domains, which is like BrandonPediatricDentist.com. That's how people who know you are able to find you. And then you've got keyword-based domains. Keyword-based domains are typically tied to a service, location, or industry. So if somebody already owns BrandonPediatricDentist.com, you would want to register something else like, pediatricdentistintoronto.com or like childsdentistnearyou.com, right? It's not your business name, but it might be something you're passionate about, an area you're in, or an industry that you serve, okay? Now, anytime you register a business name domain, you need to protect your identity. So what I mean by that is that there's lots of different suffixes. The suffix is the ending of a domain, like .com, .net, .ca, .me, .dental, .rocks, .io. There's tens of thousands of different endings for domains, tens of thousands. There's only 6 that are most recognized in Canada, 5 in the United States. .com, .net, .biz, .info, .org, and .ca. So what you want to do for your business name domain is you're going to register all 5 or 6 of those suffixes, okay? For 2 reasons. One, 99.9% of people, when they see a suffix like that, that's the one that they're going to click on. They're not going to click on BrandonPediatricDentistry.dental, right? If the .com was over the .dental or whatever way it was in, they're going to most likely click on the .com. The second reason why you want to do it is because it protects you from your competitors. Let's say somebody else also owns Brandon Dentistry or Brandon Pediatric Dentistry in another city or in another state or even in another province or country. This prevents them from registering a name similar to yours, because the average person will only register one of those 5 or 6 suffixes. So if you take them all, they're going to come up with a different name entirely. So you want to take the ability away from your competitors. So register those top 6. Now, when it comes to keyword-based domains, you do not want to register multiple domains just for the sake of owning them. They do 0 for search engine optimization. So don't go online registering things like, Invisalignforkids.com, dentalcleaningsforkids.com, childdentistnearyou.com. Google doesn't care. The only thing Google cares about is that there is a domain and there is a website attached to it. Everything else that's forwarded does 0 for search engine optimization. So do not waste your money registering multiple domains because it doesn't do anything. The only reason I'm suggesting you do that for your business name is because it protects your identity, okay? Now, every time you register a domain, your information becomes public knowledge, which means if I'm a spammer, I could find your domain, grab all your business information and personal information off of it, and then sell it to 1,000 people to spam the hell out of you until the end of time. So to prevent that from happening, you add a security blanket to the domain that redacts your business and personal information from being visible. So instead of seeing your contact info, it would just say redacted for everything, okay? The domain cost usually will float anywhere between about 20 to 30 bucks a year, depending on the suffix. The security for the domain can be anywhere from about $5 to $20 per suffix. So if you're doing a keyword-based domain, might run you about 40, 50 bucks. If you're doing 5 or 6 business name domains, it's like $200 a year, right? Like this is not a gigantic cost, but it's there to protect you, okay? Next, emails. How many of you have a HIPAA compliant email right now? Show of hands. You know for a fact it's HIPAA compliant? Okay. How many of you use an email like Gmail, Yahoo, Rogers, Beltec, AOL, Simpatico, or any one of these other providers? Does anybody use one of those to communicate with patients? I know only some of you put up hands, so I know some of you are using these emails. The reason why we don't want to do it is because on average, 80% of those emails go into the patient's spam box. Okay, and it's not because of something you did, it's not because of something the patient did, it's that's how free email accounts work. Basically, a spammer sets up an email, spams 1,000 people, sets up an email, spams 1,000 people. So if you've got like a Gmail, a Yahoo, an AOL, or something like that, an incoming mail server, when you email someone, their mail server picks it up and says, Gmail again? See ya, and we'll send it just to the spam box. Okay, but with custom emails, it's only 12% of the time, because custom emails are paid email accounts. That's like info@brandonpedsdentist.com. Okay, everyone with me on that? Okay, now it also looks much more professional. So instead of you emailing dentaltemp101@gmail.com, asking for like medical records or like other information about the patient, you're emailing from info@Coulter's Mill Dental. It looks much more professional, especially if you're getting a referral or if a referring doctor's sending business to you. And patients are smart these days. So what they're gonna do is, just to make sure you're real, they're gonna take your suffix, populate it into Google, and if it populates your website, they know you're legitimate. But if you use a Gmail account, you can't do that. So it's very important to make sure that you've got a custom email address. Now, some other important things that you wanna keep in mind: for medical grade emails, you want to have data backup. Data backup means if you accidentally delete something, you can restore it. Malware protection fights against viruses. So if you accidentally click on a virus, the virus doesn't go to your computer. Anti-phishing software. That means if you get an email from a known spammer, that email goes to your spam box and not your inbox. Email encryption. How many of you have used an email encryption system before? When somebody sends you an email, you have to log into a third party in order to view that message. It's really annoying. That's how encryption used to work. Now, the two best providers to provide encryption are Google's G Suite program and Microsoft Office 365. Okay, you work with anybody else, typically they're running through one of these two programs or one of these two providers, okay? Google's G Suite or Microsoft Office Solutions, okay? Both of which can provide a custom email, okay? So, basically, that means that anytime you send a message to someone, they auto-encrypt it for you now. Automatically encrypted. So if somebody else is trying to hack in and intercept these emails, all they're gonna see is gibberish, okay? Super convenient. Desktop and mobile integration means that if you read and reply to something on your phone, it's read and replied to on the opposite device. And then 50 gigs of storage. That's enough for about 250,000 emails. Now, I run a marketing agency. I probably have sent maybe about 40-something thousand emails in the last like 24 months, right? Average dentist won't go through that in a lifetime, okay? That's more than enough space, even if you are sending medical records, okay? Next is the website. I'm sure everyone here might have a website, in the process of building a website, or have built it themselves at some point. So how website design companies work is they typically will build a server and then build websites for those servers, okay? Now, the website company doesn't make a lot of money on the actual hosting of the site. So what they want to do is they want to build better servers with better technology in order to get you to pay to upgrade. Okay, that's how they're going to make money. Okay, and they do this every 6 months like clockwork. Better servers, better technology, faster loading times, better automation, right? Which is a problem for you because then you're going to have to pay to upgrade. And if you don't pay to upgrade, what ends up happening is your website starts to develop problems. Like when somebody clicks on it, it doesn't load. Or there's a widget that's broken, security license isn't renewed, or oops, nothing's here, 404 page error, right? Like these issues are very common with how website design companies have worked over the last 30 years. So what you want to do is you want to work with a reputable web design company who, when they introduce new technology, they just give it to you. Because I will tell you, as a marketing agency, it is extremely tedious to have to rebuild somebody's website every couple of years. It's very time consuming. It's a lot easier for us if we just say, hey, we have new tech, let's just give it to you. Keep your website updated and modernized and fancier. And if there's a better way to lay out the information or better formatting, I'm just going to give it to you. Because if I have to do 5 minutes of work every month or two, that's totally fine rather than having to rebuild a website for 200 hours. Okay? So, some important things to keep in mind when you are building a website. First thing you want to look at is the structure. Okay? This is your website without anything on it. It's like pillars with like no paint, right? So, the logo goes here, the navigation tabs go here, the pictures are going to go here, the content's going to go here. Then what you've got to do is you've got to add the design and the content. So this is things like the verbiage, the color scheme, the imagery, videos, and stuff like that. It's what's going to be on the site. Then you've got the technology. So this is how the website is ultimately going to function. Okay, if I click this, it goes here. If I click that, it goes there. Okay, everyone with me on that so far? Okay. Now, some important things to keep in mind when you're building your site. You want to make sure that it's simple. Now, I'm not saying one page simple. Okay, but what I don't want you to do is build a website that you have to scroll 14 times to get to the bottom. How many of you heard the term clickbait before? Clickbait? Right. So that's where you have a piece of information, phone number, piece of information, phone number, piece of information, phone number. And like you don't know what information is actually supposed to be on the page because the only thing you're spitting out is your phone number. Don't do stuff like that. Okay. So you want to just be very precise for each page, maximum 4 scrolls to get to the bottom, 4 scrolls. Next, you want to review your site. So usually I recommend that a doctor review their own site, every 3 to 6 months. You're going to have staffing changes, holiday hour changes, possibly contact information changes, new technology, new services, maybe a vendor change where you're switching from like Invisalign to ClearCorrect or from Zoom to Opalescence or something like that, okay? So you have to be the one to review that. I don't have that information. Right? As much as we work together, I don't know if there's changes in your business unless you tell them to me. So once you tell them to me, we can make the adjustments, but that's why we have to rely on you to tell us, okay? So review it. Then you want to test it. So a lot of times we're linking to third-party websites, like for schools or for associations that you're part of. You've got to be the one to make sure that the page that we're linking to is still accurate for you. Because sometimes these third parties will just take down the link that we've linked to, right? So we're going to a third-party site, we've linked to them. For some reason, the third party just removes that page, okay? So it's important to make sure you're clicking on all links to make sure they're still valid. And then update it. I will tell you that if I built a website right now and you asked me for a change, I could build an entire page based off of an existing design, fully optimized in about 5 minutes. The page will be designed appropriately. The content will be there. It'll be designed for desktop and tablets. It's very easy to make website changes. So if you're waiting, a week, 2 weeks to get website changes, you need to change your website designer because they don't know what they're doing, okay? Now, once you got the domain, the email, and the website, we have to start optimizing it. Now, there's two types of optimization. You've got static and you've got dynamic. So static are keywords that are built per page, meaning I've got one page for, let's say, orthodontics. I've got one page for cleanings. I've got one page for fillings. Attached to each one of those pages are specific keywords. So if I go online and I type in tooth decay or dental filling, the filling page will show up. If I type in chipped tooth, dental emergency, the emergency page will show up. That's what a static keyword is. A dynamic keyword is a combination to a static. Meaning, if I've got the word emergency dentist on as a keyword, I would put an emergency dentist near you. Emergency dentist being static, near you being dynamic. Emergency dentist open now. Emergency dentist who speaks Spanish. Female emergency dentist. Emergency dentist for children specifically. Emergency dentist in Toronto, right? So you could have 50 different or 100 different dynamic combinations attached to one single static keyword. Okay, and this is why search engine optimization is typically a paid service, because you could have tens of thousands of different dynamic combinations attached to your website. Is everyone with me on that so far? Okay, now we want to make sure that the keywords, specifically the static ones, are page specific. The reason being is because if somebody goes online looking for a pediatric dentist and you've accidentally linked in the pediatric dentist keywords to let's just say they're looking for dental fillings. Let's get specific. Dental fillings for kids. But you've linked the dental fillings page to like dental cleanings. Is that what the parent's looking for? No. So let's just say maybe it's like orthodontics in dental fillings. Is that what the parent's looking for? No. So what's the parent gonna do? I'm gonna bounce out of your website. How many of you heard bounce rate before? I'm gonna bounce out of your website. I'm gonna leave. The more people who bounce, the lower your ranking on Google. So you have to make sure that your keywords are page specific, okay? Now, you wanna combine your words. So you actually don't just leave it at emergency dentist, right? But you can start combining it. Emergency dentist is a static, chipped teeth is a static, for kids is a static in Toronto. Emergency dentist who deals with chipped teeth for kids in Toronto. I'm sure all of you don't just Google like dentist near me. You would Google something like a question or a statement that for something that you're looking for, right? Those questions are typically answered through a blog. How many of you use a blog? You know about a blog? Everyone should know what a blog is. I'll explain about it on the next page. 50% of the words that you end up searching for are location specific. Dentist on Main Street, dentist near you, pediatric dentist near this, right? The other 50% have to do with combination words or sentences or questions that people have, like, why does my child have 6 teeth on one side of their mouth and 4 on the other, right? Is it normal for my 2-year-old to lose a tooth? That's what a blog will help answer, okay? And I'll explain about it on the next page. And next, we want to add and replace. So people search differently for keywords in the spring than they do in the fall. So what you need to do is you have to remove keywords that don't rank and replace them with keywords that do. So 50% of your keywords rank well and the other 50% do not rank well. You've got to remove the keywords that don't rank well from the page, because the lower each keyword ranks, the lower the page ranks, the lower the website ranks. So I'm going to explain on the next page, but basically there is a system called Google Search Console. Google Search Console. It's a free system you plug into your website that basically tells you how each keyword ranks. So if some of the keywords don't rank well, you need to remove them from your site and replace them with new ones. So the better each keyword ranks, the better the website ranks, the better the overall page ranks, the better the website ranks. Okay, everyone with me on that? Okay, now to start showing up for these questions or these statements, you're gonna do it through a blog. So you're gonna build a blog through something called an RSS feed, okay? It's Romeo Sal Sal, RSS, okay? It's basically a piece of technology that when you republish your website, it sends a signal to search engines like Google to come back to your website to rescan for new content, okay? Now there's a stipulation here that if you don't keep that RSS feed active by posting regularly, it goes stagnant. So the next time you post, Google doesn't care. So you have to post on a consistent basis, okay? So the first thing you want to do for this RSS feed is you want to build it out. So you have to give it 3 pieces of information. I'm a peds dentist, I'm in Toronto, here's what I do. So the next time someone in Toronto looking for a peds dentist who does fillings, Google knows to have your blog show up to that individual. Everyone with me on that? Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to categorize your keywords. Okay. Now that Google Search Console that I just explained about tells you a list of all the keywords that you rank for. And it tells you literally, this is on the first page in the second position or the 9th page in the 4th position. It tells you specifically where that keyword ranks and how effective it is. So what you're going to do is you're going to start categorizing those keywords into groups. Like I'm going to create a group for for fillings. I'm going to create a group for maybe like crowns. I'll create one for dental cleanings. I'll create one for palatal expanders or whatever else you do. Then what you're going to do is you're going to build content based on those top ranking categories. So and it's going to be over a 30-day period. Because like I said, people search differently in the spring than they do in the fall. So you don't want to take a 6-month gap you don't want to take a 6-month data from Google to figure out what those keywords are, because they're going to be different here than they are in September, than they are in January. So you want to take the data from every 30 days and build content around that. So let's just say in May, your top ranking keywords are related to cosmetics. Then that's what you're building your blog content around. Next month, it could be around orthodontics. Next month, it could be around cleanings. Okay, this way I'm not just wasting my time building content for abscesses when nobody searches for that. Everyone with me on that? Okay. Now, important things to keep in mind. Post every 2 to 4 weeks to keep that RSS feed active. Very important. You want to include at least 50 keywords so that way people can find it. Imagine you write a 2,000 word essay, which is a blog. You put it on your website, but you only put dental fillings on there. You're just going to assume that somebody can find the blog off of one keyword, dental fillings? What about tooth decay? What about black spots, soft spots, right? Sore teeth, right? You've got to make sure you're including multiple keywords so people can find the blog. You want to have a limit between 750 to 2,000 words and include custom images. Now, it could be a personal image with the patient, or it could be a stock photo with your color scheme over it, or your logo in the bottom, like left-hand corner, okay? Now, regardless of whether it's a normal page of your website or a blog page, there are specific places you need to optimize. One of those pages, or one of those places, is in the browser tab itself. Next is in the URL suffix. So after the .com or .ca. After that are the navigation tabs. So I'm sure all of you have Googled something and seen like home, about, services, contact. That's what that is. So you've got to make sure that they are very clear for your navigation titles. Next is the page header. There's about 200 things that Google looks at. I've mentioned a lot of them here, but this, in my opinion, is like a top 5 item. There's 6 types of headers: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. This, at the top, should always be what's called an H1 header. It's one of the most important things that Google looks at. Now, you'll notice that it says bad breath treatment in Victoria. Treatment, okay? Not symptoms, not causes. Because when we looked at the categorization from the keywords, the top thing related to bad breath was bad breath treatment. So that's what we put in the title, okay? But this is also static, dynamic. So bad breath is a static keyword. Bad breath treatment is a static keyword. Victoria is a dynamic keyword. So instead of it just saying bad breath, we're now getting more specific to the people that are actually searching for bad breath treatment in that particular city. Everyone's with me on that, right? Okay. Next is the page summary. This basically provides Google with a synopsis of what the page is ultimately about. Then you've got the page content. So the content needs to be ranked according to how much traffic it generates. If, let's just say, causes of bad breath, nobody searches for it, don't put it at the top of the page. Put it at the bottom of the page. Because the main reason why people come to the page is what they need to see first, followed by the second reason, followed by the third reason, the fourth reason, and so on. Next, this is the most important thing Google looks at. Title and description. When you Google anything, you're going to see 2 things. Every search result has a title that has big letters, and you'll see a short description of what that title is about, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about? Title, description. On Google, every search result has that. You can manipulate the title and description for every single page of your site. So the title, let's just say, of the dental fillings page should say child with black, or let's just say black mark on tooth. Your child might have dental decay. The description could be specific. It has to be specific to that as well, loaded with keywords and written for someone who can understand it. So from a Google's perspective, you're from this title and description, you're writing this for two people. You're writing it for Google and you're writing it for the patient. So Google would read this and you could put down tons of keywords being like dental filling, need a dental filling, get a dental filling, dental cavities, soft spot, get a dental filling and child. Google might be like, wow, that's great keywords. Let's have you show up higher. But then remember when I talked to you about clickbait? When somebody reads something like that as a parent, do you think that that's real information that you're going to click on? No. So you have to write the title and description for Google and for the patient. Okay? And you have to change this for every single page. Too many times I've read titles where it says Brandon Dentistry / dental fillings. The next page, Brandon Dentistry / orthodontics. The next page, Brandon Dentistry / dental crowns. What the hell does the name of the business have to do with the page that you have to go to? Right? That's wasted keywords because the title is limited to 60 characters. It's limited to 60 characters. So you have to be very aware of what you're going to put in the title. The description's limited to 160. So don't waste time writing like this full-on description that isn't keyword rich. So you're writing it for two people, keyword rich Google and for the patient so they can understand it. Okay? Next is something called local business schema. This is basically a page of code that you add to Google or add to your website so Google Maps can find and navigate local businesses to present to local searchers. So basically, the closer someone is to your office, the higher you get found on their search results. Make sense? Okay. Now, why is it important? Well, because there's lots of keywords someone could type in. So what we want to do is when somebody types in a keyword, we want that particular page to show up. So you got one main page and then you have an orthodontics page. This is a general dentist that's around the corner from here, but there's no implant page there. There's no contact page there. There's no about us page there. I typed in ortho, so I find ortho. So what does the patient do? Well, that's what I'm looking for. Perfect. I find what I'm looking for in one click. So instead of going to the home page, going to the services page, going to the ortho page, you literally just go to Google, type in what you need, and your website should just be right there. Pretty easy? Okay. Now, I say easy. I'm explaining it in a very simple way. This is vastly more complicated once you actually get into it. The key problem that people usually run into is consistency, staying updated on these things and actually doing them in a consistent way, okay? Now, next is Google Business Profile. How many of you control your Google Business Maps page? By show of hands. Wow, 2 people, 3 people, okay? So you don't have control over it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna Google your business. If you show up, claim this business or own this business or verify ownership, okay? Then you follow the steps and then you've got control over your maps page. You don't have this, that's fine. All you have to do is go to Google Business Profile, Google it, and then just go through the verification steps to set up your own profile. It's very easy to do, okay? Once you do that, you're gonna edit your profile. Now, the editing can take anywhere between 3 and 5 hours because you have to add your description, your pictures, you've got to add your contact information, you've got to add your services and pretty much everything else about your business, including certain details like do you have a bathroom or what insurances you accept, things like that, okay? Now, if some of you have multiple locations, Google does provide the ability to manage multiple locations through the same platform. Now, I want everyone to pay attention to this one specifically, this next point. On the Maps page, when you scroll down, there is an announcements part that you can start creating social media posts directly attached to your Google page. These are optimization-friendly posts. So you have to make sure you're doing them on a consistent basis. And anything you create here, let's say if somebody's Googling like best peds dentist for fillings, like if you made a post about that, Google's gonna have you show up higher in the search results because of it. Next, respond to your reviews. But be very careful about the response. You can't say, if somebody writes you a great review, you cannot say, thanks so much for coming in. You just broke HIPAA compliance because you admitted that that person just came into your practice. Pretty stupid, right? But that's why we have to make sure when you are responding, you be as general as possible. Okay? As general as possible. Thanks so much for thanks so much for the review. Positive or negative, we want to make sure everyone has the best experience in our office. It doesn't admit that they were a patient. It just says, thanks for the review. Okay? So you got to be very careful with stuff like that. Next, how many of you use Microsoft Bing for their search engine? Show of hands. You know what's fun fact is that 30% of the world uses them. So I know 30% of you are using them. And Microsoft and Bing look almost identical from their search engines. So when you get home, look at your computer in the top left-hand corner and see if it says Microsoft Bing. I'd be very interested to know that, okay? And so with Bing, because 30% of the world uses it because it's the default browser for a PC. Nobody knows how to really change their default browser, like the average person doesn't know how to do that, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up a Bing's profile page. It's the same thing as Google Business that we just talked about, but for Bing. So instead of spending 3 to 5 hours doing this, you're gonna log in using your Google credentials. Then you're gonna sync Google and Bing together. Once they're synced, you update it. This will take less than 5 minutes. And then poof, you got a profile on Bing. Pretty easy, right? That one is probably the easiest thing that you can do. Once you have your Google profile set up, set Google first, then Google will give everything to Bing, and then just go through it to make sure that Bing took everything accurately. Okay? Next is a chatbot. How many of you use a chatbot on your website? Really? Oh my goodness. How many of you hate a chatbot? Yeah, there you go. But guess what? It's a conversion tool. Other types of conversion tools, click to call now, book online, web forms, chatbots. The more conversion tools you add, the more chances you get to convert those patients. Fun fact, without a chatbot, if you got 100 people visiting your website, you will get 6 leads. With a chatbot, you're getting 8. Same amount of traffic because people convert differently. Some people want to use a bot system. Now there's 2 types of bots. You have a live chat responder, which requires actually someone to physically respond. Not recommended because you have to have someone glued to that screen because if that patient doesn't get a response within 5 seconds, they're gone, okay? Then you have an auto response system. Now everybody is throwing around these terms AI. My bot's AI, my bot's AI. It's BS, don't listen to it. There's no AI chatbot that's out there. True AI has every single word in the entire English language, okay? You write a response, the bot says, okay, here's your response. That's not what people sell you. What they're talking about is they build a simple algorithm that says, based on the keywords you give me, I'm gonna give you preset response. That is not AI. That is a simple algorithm that people can just create and it takes maybe less, like literally 10 minutes to put a bot together. Very easy, okay? So don't get fooled when people say stuff like that. Now, I prefer not to use, and we've done these numbers, do not use live chat responders. Do not use them, okay? They're like the worst possible thing that you could possibly have for your business because it requires someone to be there and they're typically very expensive. Do not use free text, meaning even if you have those preset responses, do not give the patient the ability to have free text options. The reason being is because if somebody puts in a spelling mistakes, the bot doesn't understand, they won't respond. Or the bot says, I'm sorry, please repeat that. I'm sorry, please repeat that. I'm sorry. And then the person gets mad and then they leave. So instead what we do is we have preset responses, preset answers. Okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up your bot by first breaking it down into categories. You know, you can break it down by procedure or you can break it down by specifics or groups like cosmetic or restorative and things like that. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna build a story for each one of these. So what's the bot gonna say when the person engages with this component? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna link them together. So the first one says, you know, here's the info on pediatrics. Would you like to book an appointment or learn about something else? The person says, okay, well, can I have the info on crowns? Perfect. Here's the info on crowns. Would you like to book an appointment for crowns or learn about something else? right? And it keeps doing this until the person says, let's book an appointment. So then the bot says, okay, can I get your name, email, phone number, child's name, primary concern, best time to call. So then you get an email that looks like this. It says, hey, just letting you know, Brandon's looking for an appointment for Logan for crowns. Please give him a call. Now I say give him a call. Do not email the patient back, because what's the percentage of emails that go into the spam box? 80%, right? So you want to call those new patients back. Everybody seen Wolf of Wall Street? Pick up the phone and start dialing. I promise you, you will book more patients, okay? And this is how a bot typically functions. You have a question, give a series of responses. You basically just select the best response, takes you down a pathway. Every pathway asks for your contact information. Pretty easy? Okay. Next, we want to build your website popularity. So the best way to do that is to get found on directories. Now, there's lots of different directories out there. First thing that we want to do is we want to add you to the directory by putting that same Google information on the directory. It has to be the same, because if it's not, the last item on this list does not count. How many of you heard of backlinks before? Backlinks are links that lead to your website, not from Google, but from an alternative source. The more backlinks you have, the higher you get found. But the caveat is that the information needs to be accurate. If it's not, the backlink does not count. So whatever's on Google needs to be on the directory. So instead of doing this on a one-on-one basis, you're going to work with something called an aggregator. So aggregators are basically businesses that control groups of directories. There are local aggregators, there are national ones, there are industry-specific ones. Some are free, some are paid, some are consumer and commercial, some are large and small. There's lots of them out there. Okay, so there's lots of directories you could be on. There's one office I work with in Los Angeles, no joke, they're on like 2,400 directories. As a doctor, as a dentist, in Los Angeles, in the county, in the state, in the medical field, in the United States. It's crazy how many directories there are out there, okay? So the more places you get found, the higher you get found on Google, okay? Now, the reason you do this is because it builds links. The more links you have, the better you get found. So there's three kinds of links. You have internal link that goes from page to page. You have external link that goes from your page to an external source. And then you have directory links that go from an external source back to your site. Okay? That's what the aggregators will help with. Now, you remember that system I explained, Google Search Console, that tells you all the keywords you show up for and how they rank? Another part of that system will tell you all the links you have and where they are. So I could find out how many links you have, or if there's a directory that's missing, we know that it's got wrong information, we can go in and update it. And it's a free system that Google gives us. It's crazy. Some people charge for this kind of thing, okay? Now, I'm sure all of you have seen this little feature right here. Sometimes it's a question mark. Sometimes it's glasses, guy in a wheelchair, right? Something like that. It's an accessibility feature. Basically, it helps people with disabilities use your site, right? So if you're colorblind like I am, it allows me to change the colors of your website so that I can see them, right? Or if you have vision impairment, it can increase the text size. You know, if you're blind, it can read the website to you. If you're deaf, it can be closed caption. If you're dyslexic, it changes the font, right? If you have ADHD, it will remove the images. If you are, I mean, there's honestly a ton of things. If you want to have if you have epilepsy, it mutes the colors. It's very interesting, these sorts of features, okay? So its primary function, it makes your website accessible for people with disabilities. Its secondary function is that it gives your website a technological advancement. The more advanced you make your website, the better it is for Google. It has the same impact than if you add a chatbot to your site. Google's going to have you show up higher because you're making things easier. Okay? Next, we want to ask for reviews. Now, there are 4 ways to generate reviews. First and best way is through a survey. Basically, you send your patients a survey post-appointment. They complete it. It's like, rank this out of a scale of 1 to 10. You can give them a series of questions if you want. If the survey comes back positive, it redirects the patient to Google to leave you a review. If it comes back negative, it just says, thanks, have a great day. Right? This way, it keeps any negative comments offline. And you're sent the survey positive and negative so you can do your own internal evaluation. Next, a sign in the waiting room or an operatory. Big one with a QR code saying, leave us a 5-star review. Put it in each one of your operatories and at your reception. One of my clients, he leaned back in his chair and literally He's got it on a ceiling panel. Next, you could ask for it during or after the appointment. This one might be a little bit complicated because imagine you're dealing with a child and you're like, hey parent, can you give me a 5-star review? Right? Or it's like, hey, here's your bill for $2,600. I know I just did 7 fillings for your child, but can I get 5 stars? Right? So pick and choose your moments. And then next, if you're uncomfortable with these, just send an email post-appointment. It was a pleasure seeing you today. Here's our Google page. Would you mind leaving me a 5-star review? Now, Google indexes both the review and the response. So if you had 100 reviews on Google and they were all the thumbs up emoji, but I had one review that said I'm the best pediatric dentist, I would always show up above you every time. Because Google indexes the review. The next time you go to Google, type in like best peds dentist and then look at the maps page. It'll actually index somebody's review and the keywords will be bolded. It'll tell you in bold, okay? So it's very important to make sure that when you ask someone for a review, ask them to include some keywords. It's going to be a little bit of an awkward conversation. How would you write that down? We can talk about it after. She asked what kind of keywords you should use. We can talk about it after. But basically what you need to do to get people to write a review is you have to treat it like a joke. Would you mind, if I came to you actually, let's do it serious. The average person does this. Would you mind leaving me a 5-star review? You'd be like, sure, I guess. Put me on the spot. I'll give you 5 stars just to leave me the hell alone. But if I came to you and I said, hey, you know what? I know you just came in and would you mind leaving me like a 5-star review or something? I don't know. Just include some keywords like I'm the best. All right, thanks. How more inclined would you be to do something like that? Right? You've got to treat it like a joke. Right? You treat it like a joke. They take it seriously. They'll be like, you know what? Damn, this guy's good. Best dentist here, best dentist there, best dentist everywhere. Okay? So treat it like a joke when you're asking for keywords in the review. And the response is also indexed. So don't just say thanks for the review, but you say thanks for the review, positive or negative. We want to make sure everyone has a great experience. Okay? Whether you need a dentist for your child or for an emergency, give us a call. We can help. Here's our phone number. Okay? Now, it's not just your patients that can leave reviews. Your staff can leave reviews. Your vendors can leave reviews. Fun fact, you can leave a review about yourself. There's no rule that says that you can't. How many of you left a review for yourself? 3 people. Look, Google, Yelp, RateMDs, RateAbiz, Health Grades, Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau. I can go online and leave 7 reviews right now. My wife's over in my booth. I can ask her to do it. We each have 10 friends between us. That's 20 reviews I can get on my business today. Today. Grandma's at house looking after the kids. I get her to do it too. Nobody says that you can't do that. There's no rule. Go get yourself some reviews today. It's crazy. And get them to give you some good reviews too, right? Next, Google Ads. So this is where we're going to get a little bit intricate. Google Analytics needs to merge with Google Ads. And I'll explain why in a couple of points. First thing that you want to do is you want to categorize or tell Google what you want to promote about. I only want to receive patients for these specific things. Google's going to say, okay, based on those things that you want to promote for, here's a list of keywords for each item or for each procedure. So then you have to go through them. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Like I don't want to show up for free dental work, but I do want to show up for free dental consultations. Then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to select the best time to promote. Fun fact, best time to promote is all the time. I'm a father of 2. I run a successful marketing agency. I'm not the average person in terms of my workday, but the average person might wake up at 7 o'clock, deal with the kids or get ready for work, travel to work, go to work for 6 or 8 hours, commute home, eat dinner, and not have a life until 8 o'clock at night. If I'm a parent, I don't have a life until literally like 9 o'clock at night, 9:30. Right? You think about it from a patient's perspective. When are they available? So advertise when they're available. Usually those times are not going to be during your office hours. So you've got to advertise from 6 in the morning until 11 at night, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week. Okay? Then you're going to just call them the next day that you're in. Very easy. Somebody, like a parent knows that I'm calling you at 11 o'clock at night. I'm leaving you a voicemail or I'm sending you an email. I know that you're not available. I'll expect a call back in the morning. Okay? Pretty simple? Okay. Next is the content. So somebody goes online and types in like best pediatric dentist near me. What does your ad say? Right? Most of the time, the average person, the average marketing company is going to say, hey, need a peds dentist? Call now. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? That's called a simple ad. But there are also complex ads. Complex ads have to deal with the Google Analytics side of things. Okay? So this is where I can take people's previous search histories and use it against them. So if you've ever Googled something like a camera and then seen an ad for a camera 5 minutes later on social media, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So I can see if somebody is Googling like piano lessons and karate classes, then they go online Googling a pediatric dentist. I can have an ad pop up with somebody going like this, being like, we're the karate dentist. It's pretty intuitive, the kind of things that you can do when you link in your analytics with your ads. Now, there is going to be a capacity on how much money you spend. There is a limit because within, let's just say 3 miles around your office, there's only so many people that are going to pay or so many people that are going to click on your ad. Okay, so there's only so many clicks. So let's say you say, I want to spend $10,000 a month. Okay, Google looks at that and says, okay, well, I'm only able to spend $3,000. So the only way that you can spend that 10 is if you expand your radius. What happens if you expand your radius? The lower your show percentage happens. Beyond 7 miles, your show percentage drops to less than 30%. So don't go beyond 7 miles, okay? Keep it at 7. Now, so there is going to be a limit. So if you do want to spend more than that, look at a different platform, okay? You can spend money on Google, but then spend that money in alternative ways. Now, you should expect results between 2 and 8 times. 2 to 8 times. So be realistic with your goals. You want to spend $1,000 on Google Ads, that's fine, but don't expect $50,000 in business. Like that'd be insane. I'd invest in your business and I'd want to return like to 10x my money and you can keep the rest. Because that's way better than the stock market and that's on a monthly basis. So be realistic with your goals. 2 to 8 times, okay? Next is Facebook and Instagram. Now I do this one first because this is the one that everybody knows, okay? First thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna set up your profile. Once you set up your profile, you're gonna link Facebook and Instagram together. Once that's linked, you're gonna set up the auto responses. So it's like Facebook has a system that says, hey, welcome to our page. Here's our hours and contact information. How can we help? Once that's done, you're going to set up the pixel. The pixel is an analytics system that tracks demographic information, age, gender, marital status, kids, jobs, stuff like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to build posts targeted towards those types of people. Right? So if I look at your pixel and I say, I only want to advertise or I only want to build posts towards the people that have kids, I'm going to look at all their information and then I'm going to build posts targeted towards those people. Right? Because if the most people that have kids that engage with you are between the ages of 35 and 45, I'm not going to build a post targeting, 65-year-old people. Make sense? Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to engage with them. So if somebody comments, you reply. If they share, you share back. If you like a post, you like one of theirs. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter, or X, or TikTok, or LinkedIn, or whatever. That's how a social media page is done. You set it up, you look at the pixel, create the post, and engage. Look at the pixel, create the post, and engage. Okay? Just write down your question. I'll answer it after. Okay? Now, you want to post on Facebook and Instagram at least twice a week. Nobody wants to hear from their dentist more than that, okay? Less than that, you're not really attracting an audience. Twice a week. Some platforms, you're gonna do it more. Like TikTok can be once a day. If you're doing reels once a day, YouTube is like once a month, okay? Now, once you have a history of creating solid content, you can promote it on Meta. Meta is basically Facebook ads, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up your audience. The audience is based on that pixel data. So I only wanna build an audience, let's just say for men or women with children, or let's say vets with children, like war veterans with children. Maybe I want to build an audience group for people in a high economic area, right? So you can create all these different audience groups. Then what you're going to do is you're going to build posts targeted towards these types of people. Okay, so each audience group could have 10, 15, or 20 posts if you want. Okay, and you let Facebook sort out which one works best. Then you're going to select the time frame, frequency, radius, and budget for when you want the ads to appear. Then you're going to engage with them. Now, the cool thing about these posts is that they're not shown to your followers. These posts are shown to everyone else in a geographic radius. So not only is this going to help generate new patients, it's also going to help generate new followers for your social pages. Okay? Now, everything I've just explained does something different. Your website traffic is going to tell you where people came from and how they engaged with you. Your Google Analytics is going to tell you keywords people typed in and times a day they're searching. Your Facebook Analytics is going to track demographic information, age, gender, marital status, kids, jobs, stuff like that. So what I can do is I can take one system to improve the other. So if I go to Google, I say, show me the analytics, Google's going to say, okay, well, you primarily get people searching for, let's just say like Invisalign at 8 o'clock at night, or Invisalign teen at 8 o'clock at night. So I go to Facebook and I create a post targeting Invisalign teen at 8 o'clock at night. Then I look at that analytics and it tells me that it's primarily women that are looking at those posts. So I go to your page and I change it to a mother with a teenager as a picture. So the more people who land on that page are going to resonate with it. You see how that kind of spider webs together? Okay. Now, everything I've just explained up to this point has primarily been digitally focused. There are a ton of non-digital options. So some things that have historically worked: printed flyers, radio campaigns, wrapping a bus, doing billboards, having a commercial at the beginning of movies, community sponsorships, business partnerships, and then doing seminars. Nursing homes, not so much, but Girl Guides, Scouts, elementary schools, stuff like that, okay? Some other cool ideas that you can explore: packages to colleagues, right? You can let the general dentist know that you're in the area. Give them referral pads. Let them refer their complicated cases to you, okay? And just so we're on the same page, you don't just have to send the pads to general dentists. Medical doctors don't deal with pediatric teeth. Let the doctors know you're in the area, okay? Presents for kids. How many of you have ever put out a Christmas tree in your lobby? My God. Do you go to the dollar store, grab a bunch of presents, wrap them, and put them under the tree as well? Nope. Do that next time. Every kid who comes in, you say, hey, you can't just say, go pick one. You have to make it special. Here's a present. Don't open it until Christmas. Okay. I swear they're going to protect that. Exactly. You're going to make that child feel so special. They're going to take it. They'll put it under the tree. They will not open it until Christmas. And what ends up happening is they're going to be like, hey, every family member who comes over, look what my dentist gave me. It was a $2 present from the dollar store. It's cars or a Barbie or something. Like, it's crazy. Next January, you're going to get a ton of referrals doing something like that. I promise you. And you don't just have to do it for Christmas. You could do that for Valentine's Day or like back to school supplies or something. Plans for businesses. If there's any large corporations around you, go in and say that you're a peds dentist and you'll give all the children 10% off if they bring their kids to your office. One of my offices in Palo Alto does that with Google. So he's the dentist for all of the Google, right? All the Google employees. Pretty cool. And then partnerships with sports teams, AAA sports teams, hockey and football and stuff like that. Have the kid come in. You'll do you sponsor them first. You do a talk for them. You say, hey, you know what? I want to talk to the kids about like proper mouthwear or something like that. Every child who comes to your office, you'll give them a free mouth guard with a new patient exam. Okay. Then if they have any siblings, you're going to convert all the siblings as well. Surprising how effective that one is. Now, there's lots of images as well that you have to add. Okay. But it's really important if you want more patients, if you want patients like child patients, that's why we're here. You have to include pictures with children in your photos. Just because you have a high-tech office doesn't mean anybody cares. Parents need to see that you can help children. If you have a nice office, they don't know how you are with that child. Very important. Okay, pictures with kids. If you want pictures of cosmetic patients, you have to include before and afters. Palatal expanders as an example, okay? And then you want more patients in general, do some community outreach events. It's not that hard. I sponsor my son's baseball team, but I don't call it Dr. Marketing's Yankees. I call it Pokemon Trainers Yankees. So I run a global business. I don't care if my name, Dr. Marketing, is on the jersey. I just call it Pokemon Trainers, and then I take a picture with the kids. I'll put it on social media. Doesn't matter what my name is, right on the jersey. Do the same sort of thing, but maybe because you're a local business, stick with the name of your office, right? Sponsor something. Get out there, let people know that you exist, okay? So you're not just gonna add pictures to your website. You're gonna add them to Google, Bing, social, printed flyers, email newsletters. You're gonna add these things everywhere. Same pictures, different platforms. That's how people start to remember who you are, okay? Now, you're gonna change the file name because this is one of the most important things that Google looks at. So how many of you have ever heard of a alt text? You ever heard of pictures worth 1,000 words? Everyone's heard that, right? Same thing with the file name. You upload a picture onto your website or onto social media and the file name says image0_21xyz. Do you think Google knows what the hell that picture's about? They got no idea. Google can't see. So you have to tell them. So in the file name, you're gonna write down male pediatric dentist in Alaska, dealing with child, helping hold dental tool, girl in glasses. Next time somebody Googles anything related to that, you click on Google Images, that's the picture that's gonna show up. You see how that works? You're looking confused. You good? Everyone's good, okay. All right, next we wanna combine our marketing efforts. Do not start from scratch. So emailed newsletters and social media go hand in hand. You create a newsletter, put the same message on social media. Pretty simple. Next, creative versus general brand. Look, you're a dentist, he's a dentist, you're a dentist. Why would someone choose to come to your office versus the other guy? Okay, you both do dentistry the same, you both have the same education, both have great smiles, both have amazing staff. Why would someone choose to come to you versus the other person? That's where you get specific with your brand. Give a duck to every child. Start giving out gum to the parents. Wear a polka dotted lab coat. I don't care. Make yourself stand out from the competition. Okay? Blogging and optimization. It's not a chicken and egg. Optimization comes first. No one cares if you add a blog and you don't optimize it, especially Google. Print marketing and Google and Meta. Print marketing does work, but it's 2 to 3 times more effective if you do a digital campaign first. You hammer an area on Google, then you hammer the same area on social media, then you hammer that same area with print, okay? What ends up happening is that somebody gets a flyer, they're like, that's not what I'm looking for, they throw it away. They go to social media, they scroll through the feed. I've seen that before, but I don't know where. That's not what I'm looking for. So now they need a dentist. So they go pediatric dentist, they're like, hey, I know these guys. And then they click on you. So all these things work in tandem with each other. Now, personal stock photos and videos, it's okay to use stock photos. Personal is always preferred, but stock video or stock photos are okay. It's very hard to explain what an inlay or an onlay is on a real patient, okay? So stock photos are okay for stuff like that. And then digital and non-digital. You wanna grow, they have to coexist, okay? Now, as a bonus tip, I always recommend work with a professional. You could do everything I just explained, but it is a lot easier to work with someone to do these things. Updating content and images and directories and security licenses and blogs and social media and ads. This is what a marketing company should do. Now, the benefit of working with someone like Dr. Marketing is that we do this with dental expertise, which means we are HIPAA, PIPEDA for Canada, GDRP for for Europe, and we are WCAG compliant. WCAG has to do with the accessibility guidelines. We know the content behind the procedures and we know how to explain it in a way that's not going to get you in trouble with the association. Okay? Now, some common marketing mistakes. I bullet point form them so it's easier for us to go through. Don't use the word guarantee, love, best, or state of the art in anything that you do. Do not place written testimonial on your website because it's treated as a statement of fact that you publicly endorse, but you can't actually prove who wrote something. Video testimonials are preferred because the identifiable features are right on camera. Make sure you respond to all reviews, but if you don't have anything nice to say, do not say anything to the negative ones. Okay, it's better to just say nothing. I promise you. Incentives. Do not give money to earn reviews or referrals. Okay? It attracts the wrong type of patient. They're basically there for the incentive and then gone when you try to recall them, assuming your office does hygiene. Okay? Next, groups and associations. Don't list any study groups, continuing education, or positions you hold at an association. You can't make yourself seem better than somebody else, okay? Contact info, incorrect title or designation. The funniest peds dentist I've ever seen was a guy in Utah, called himself the supreme dental ruler. You cannot do that, okay? Just whatever your designation is. Multiple websites for the same practice. That's how you get blacklisted from Google. And then directory mistakes. Fix the problems because it's costing you business. Okay? And then marketing. Promoting for services you don't offer. Plagiarism. Improper explanations. Obviously, we shouldn't do that. And then having an improper marketing budget. If your budget's too low, you're not generating the results you need. If it's too high, you could be overspending on very basic services. Okay? So, top marketing FAQ questions. How much should your marketing budget be? Anyone want to take a guess? How much percentage of your gross sales? 2? What do you think? Anybody? Come on, somebody scream a number out. 10? 5? 6? Okay. Good answers. They're all technically right. You could spend 100% if you wanted to, right? Grow like crazy. So, we interviewed about 100 marketing agencies in the last 2 years and put together some averages. So, web design will usually float between 1 to 10 grand a month. Custom emails will float between 10 to 100 a month. Chatbot systems will usually float between 50 to 300 a month. Directory systems will float between 50 to 300 a month. That's updating directories and fixing them. Review Booster, that's the survey, will float between 50 to 300 a month. Optimization is the dynamic version. The average provider will charge between 250 to 500. And then social's the same, depending on the platform and number of posts. And then ads. Ads will usually cost you between 15 and 25%. So if your budget's $1,000, most marketing companies will charge you $200 to manage your $1,000 budget. Everything added up should be 1 to 4% of annual sales. Okay, it could be less if you don't really need patients. It could be more if you hired an associate. Okay. Now, is your marketing working? Couple tips and tricks for you. Look at your website on all device sizes. Make sure that it formats because, fun fact, 72% of the people that use your website on average will do so from a mobile device. But when most people design a website, they're only looking at it from a desktop version. Okay? Here's a tip and trick if you want to write this down in case you're doing search engine optimization for your office. Right-click on any page of your website. Click View Page Source. This will show you the code of the site. From here, you're going to look for things called title and description. Be highlighted in blue. Okay? We spoke about this earlier when we were going over optimization. Title and description. Okay? Very, very important to make sure that the person you're paying for optimization is actually doing their job. Okay? Next, look at social media and blogs. Make sure that the content is accurate. Make sure that the dates are accurate. Make sure that the images are accurate. Make sure that the color scheme is accurate. Ultimately, this is your brand. And then ad spend. Typically, a patient will cost between $150 to $250 to generate through advertising. Okay? The reason for the fluctuation depends on the number or the type of patient you're looking for. Right? Is it a complex procedure or a simple procedure? Okay? Is it an emergency or a cleaning? Okay? The other big contributing factor is your staff. Your staff pick up the phone and say, "Thank you for calling Brandon Dentistry. Hang on one second." The patient's like, "What the hell was that?" Right? And then they get put on hold for 5 minutes. If one of your staff, if they do that, get them to stop. Okay? You have to train your staff appropriately. Do not put the patient on hold right away. Also, follow up with your leads. We do consulting. Every office that I have ever been in, when you have missed phone calls, they are never called back. Not once. Do you know how much business you're missing just because you don't call a missed call back? They didn't leave a voicemail. They just called, hung up the phone because your staff weren't available. So much business. Literally just call them back and say, "Hey, sorry, it's Brandon Peds Dentistry. We missed your call." "Oh yeah, perfect. I was waiting for your call." Call your missed patients back and make sure you're following up with every one of your leads. Very, very important, okay? Now, just a little bit about Dr. Marketing. We're a full service marketing team. Whatever you need, we're here for you. We specialize only in working with dental. That's it. We have no term contracts, start today and tomorrow. We save the average office 36 hours a month. We like to take our time, be easy to understand, and offer effective and efficient service. And we've got partnerships with some pretty big companies. You can actually find us on these websites. Google, Facebook, GoDaddy. Constant contact. I mean, really, if like Google trusts us enough to put us on their site, I think it's pretty safe to say that you guys can trust us too. Okay? Now, in terms of services, we offer literally everything. There's 3 kinds of advertising. You have digital advertising, okay? Websites, Google, social. You've got external advertising that deals with flyers and billboards and radio. And you have internal advertising that deals with promotional items, business cards and flyers and community outreach events. We can take care of all of it. Okay, so it just depends on the level of exposure you're ultimately looking for and the engagement you're looking for, okay? Now, I put together some case studies, but I put together case studies from different types of offices, just so you can see, but like orthodontists, this orthodontist deals with kids. The pediatric dentist, obviously, the general dentist over there deals with kids. And then the denturist, in Canada, we have denture offices. They only do dentures. They're not a medical office. They're nothing else. But the numbers for their office are actually comparable to a pediatric office, which is why I included them as well. Okay? We have offices that spend $100 a month. We have offices that spend $39,000 a month in advertising. One office. Everybody is different. Everybody has different goals. But understand that no matter where you want to get to, every single one of you needs to start basic. You have to know if these things are going to work for you before you actually start doing them. Okay? So, that's it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to come up. I'll be standing at the back. I actually forgot my flyers, but you could see my booth right there. It says marketing is scary with a big X over it. And if you have any questions, there's flyers. You can talk to my wife. She's very beautiful. She's over there. But if you also have any questions, you can scan this, fill out the form. I'll be happy to chat with you, okay? All right, thanks a bunch, everybody.